Hey, welcome to our second year of free fishing seminars here at Lake of the Ozarks. I'm John Niparadney, been a freelance fishing writer for 25 years. I've written two books, one on fishing Lake of the Ozarks and one on 101 bass fishing tips with all the MLF pros and BASS pros and all. And there's a special price here, $5 for this one at the seminar and $12 for that one. I started these seminars with Bass and Bob. I used to do these seminars in St. Louis County Parks, and they discontinued it, so I thought, well, let's bring it down here at home. So now we're doing it. Bass and Bob is coming, I guess, eventually a little bit. But I'll introduce our speaker for tonight. It's Big Ed Franco. He's got a guide service down here. How long have you been guiding now?
Oh, about 8-9 years.
Okay, and does for bass, mainly some
Bass
crappie.
man, bass man.
And,
Very little crappie, guys.
And he's a Rembrandt of a painter, lure painter.
Yes,
so
that's it.
check out
That's
some
it.
of his paint jobs. And I'll just turn it over to you, Ed.
All right. Hey, welcome everybody to come to this seminar. One of the things I will tell you before I get started, I forget a few things. I had a little stroke when I had my last operation, but I'm doing okay. I just forget little things. He asked me what the name of this lure is. It's a rock crawler. I just remembered what it is. But basically, everything's going good. I just forget a few things once in a while. The different things, right now the fish are transitioning. They're moved from the back of the coves, they've been spawning back there, and they're starting to move their way back. You can still find spawning bass in the backs of some of these coves. I know we've had 3 waves. I was fishing the other day, and we was catching fish, and when you would grab a hold of them, they would load you down with eggs coming out of them. Just a mess. It got all over the boat and everything. But they still are in that process. Now, are those bass going to spawn? I don't think so, because I was catching them off of a bluff bank and they were out pretty far. So I think they've given it up. Maybe something's happened to the rake. They just haven't developed. One of the things that I'm majorly concerned about this lake is I believe that we've had a fish kill. I don't understand why. I've never gone this long throughout a year without catching a 5, 6, 7 pounder. Just not happening. There's a reason why, and I don't know where they are. Some guys are showing up the scales in past tournaments and stuff, but they don't have a lot of the big ones. They're far and few between. You see, your things are getting tighter together, and that's because they're all the same class of the fish. I've been seeing a little bit, and I'm probably going to get myself in trouble with this, but I've been seeing a lot of fish just swimming underneath the surface that look like they have ick on them. They've got scummy, not really a good looking fish. They'll just lay there on the top, and you can take a rod tip and just pat them, and they'll take off real good. Then the next thing you know, they're right back up there again. So I am very concerned about this. I don't know who to talk to about it. I wish we knew what it was. The lake does go in an up and down sequence. I mean, it's one year it's good, goes up, goes up, goes up, and then all of a sudden it falls again. We might be in that fall situation. I love this lake. There's nothing wrong with the lake. It's got a ton of 14.5 fish. You can measure them things as long as you want on this lake right now. But to get over to the 15, they're kind of hard to start to get. You can catch a few from that 14, well, from 15 to 17 inches. But after that, they're just getting really hard to collect. I've been catching a lot of fish, a couple different ways. I was a wacky worm fisherman for, it's been 3-4 weeks now, heavy on the wacky. I've worked that pattern until it's starting to fall off a little bit, but you can still catch them on it. First bass I caught this morning, wacky worm up against the shore, and had one that was just about the size of a keeper. I didn't measure him, I just threw him back in, but it was a nice fish. Fished that for about an hour until the sun got up a little bit, and that kind of went away. So then we did a different thing. And the difference that I'm starting to see is I have been starting to see on my graphs and stuff, I'm seeing fish that are down on the big points. They're down there, they're moving around a little bit, but I still can't get them to bite. They won't bite for some reason. I think what it is, I think it's spawning fish that have finally moved their way out there, and they're in that lull period where they don't want to really eat anything. Once you start seeing them streak on a locator, that's whenever I think that you can start catching them. What I mean by the streaking is when you look at your locator and it looks like this. They're just going every direction, tailing off this way, tailing off that way. That's when you can start to catch those fish. It's a tough gig right now. You got to really fish farm. I have gotten so frustrated. I've come in from some guide trips. My wife asked me soon to walk, and I said, it's unreal. I felt guilty about taking money from people. We was catching a half dozen bass, but it wasn't good. I mean, it's not, and I pack them full of information. I show them how to do things. I try to give them all the information I can, but it's been tough. So all I can say is, guys, if you're going out there and want to catch a bunch of bass, it's going to be tough, but you can still do it if you got to have yourself in line with what's all going on. By that I mean it's confidence. If you don't have confidence in anything you ever do, you're never going to do any good with it. It's just not going to happen. You just got to have a confidence. I have a confidence in this little bait right here. A little bitty Ned rig, very small. They'll bite this thing, and they'll hang on to it once they get it. The bite that they give on this is very, very light. It's just a tap. A lot of times they'll just flat tap it. It is a Ned rig. It does have a little wire guide on it. And one of the things that I do is I'll super glue it on. Okay, and if not, you'll have that thing come off all the time. What it does is this is that space age stuff that stretches out really good. And I just super glue it on. It won't come off. It'll stay there. And honestly, until you lose this up in the trees, my people lose them all the time. It's amazing. Until you get them lost in trees, you jerk them off. Whoa. That is the only way you'll ever lose this. It stays on forever. Every once in a while it gets a little bent up, and then just pull it off, put another one on, you'll be good to go. But definitely this is a bait that, I mean, I talk in drop shot fishing. I'm a drop shot man. I haven't started drop shot. I wanted to drop shot today, but I could still catch them on this, so I thought, I'm not going to do it. But I know that drop shot fishing will catch a lot of fish, and so will this. Now, are they great big ones? No. Some of them are guide fish, is what you get, a lot of guide fish on this. And some of the other things that you'll get is every once in a while you'll pull up a 4 or 5 pounder. I mean, it happens. But basically this is just a keeper thing. If you need a keeper, a bunch of keepers, throw this and we'll come up with them. Okay, small baits keep saying. And when I was a kid, we used to fish little bitty 1/8 ounce Mr. Twisters and little bitty beetle spins and stuff, and caught the whale out of fish with that. But now everybody's got to have some great big thing that makes a lot of noise. You know, you got to have a plopper. You got to have this. You got to have that. People forgot about fishing a Zara spook. It makes a little bit, doesn't make a lot of noise, but just slap on the water and it will bring up the big one. You know, Zara spook's been a bait that's been around a long time. Pop-Bar's one that's been around for a long time. They don't make a lot of noise, but they can catch fish on them. So I go back to the basics. Whenever I first started getting, doing my thing, I always think of what I caught fish on years ago. And, you come up with some of the baits that look a little different, and some of the paint jobs on those were really weird, okay? And I just continued to weird stuff. I make lots of weird things all the time. But they're productive and they work. A lot of those baits back in those days looked like they were painted with a brush, really just bad. But nowadays, you can get a lot better paint jobs, airbrush and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is you just want to stick to the basics. Don't try to get way out there. We use a whopper plopper. Code's been with me several times. We used a whopper plopper until all my people lose them on top of these. Anybody need a whopper plopper, go look on any of the boat docks from the dam to about the 5-mile marker. Any of them big ones, I guarantee you'll find one of mine up there. People throw them up there all the time. But one of the biggest things is just you gotta be. I always tell everybody when you're fishing, just like this worm, you gotta become one with the worm. You gotta be what this is doing the whole time. Now the way I fish this is very, very simple. Is if I'm close to the bank, I just pitch it up there, and from here to the truck out there or whatever, and let it fall down the vertical jig. This is a very good bait to fish on bluff ends, okay? And this is a very good bait to fish on where the water is coming down, especially when there's water going down. At the ends of those bluffs, as it swirls down, right there, they'll get a little eddy on them. And right there, as you throw that in, let it fall straight down, and then just barely move it out. And what I tell people that barely move it out, and I have people that when they're working the bait, they're just jerking it like crazy. Crawfish don't move that fast. A worm don't move that fast. It's a very, very, very small thing, just about like that. Just little. And they'll constantly be swinging for the fence every time. Now the bite on this, it's not really a hard bite because the fact is it's kind of small. They get it in their mouth. You just set the hook just normal. You don't have to waylay them like you do a 10-inch worm. That's all Texas rig. You got to get it through there. You don't have to do any of that. Just lift your rod, and what happened is it's going to get a arc in it. And once it gets that, just reel, and just real good. And don't reel it up. People do this all the time. They'll reel it up to about right there, and they got a fish, and they go, "Here you go." And you know, it's just that, or they'll run their hand up like this and hold right here to take it off. And that's the worst thing you could ever do because it breaks the rod about right here. And to get those fixed, it costs you a whole bunch of money. So I always tell them, no, not that. So let's, you know, everybody just leave them down to about this height, then you can just get them in there and you can get them right off. So that's one of the biggest things. And that's the, you know, I mean, this is a great search bait in the sense that I know that I'm on a really good spot. And I can throw this and work it really slow. And I got confidence I can catch them on this. The same way with the wacky worm. If I have a wacky worm and I throw and I hook it through the middle, I use the rubber band deal, and I barely stick my bait, the hook through the middle of the meat, and that keeps those bluegill from pecking on it, and they got it, okay? They just steal it right off there. So what I do is I just get a little bit of skin on there, and then it will stay. I fish that wacky worm a lot. I can skip it. You can skip one from here to the lake out there, just on top of the water. And you can, what you can do is you can get it back into places underneath the trees, underneath a little bit of the bank, and just like I said, and it's so soft the presentation, it's unbelievable. My thing is with the wacky worm, if the thing stays on top, drives me crazy. I can't catch a fish if it stays up there. I want it to drop. And I tell my people when they're fishing a wacky worm, what you have to do with that is pop, and let it drop. So I tell them to pop it little, let it drop. Let it go down a little bit. Pop a little. And one of the main things with fishing a wacky worm is you've got to be watching that line. Because a lot of times they'll grab it, they take off this way, they take off that way, and they'll come straight at you. And that's when it's really hard. But it's just a pop, and let it drop. And I know anybody here could go out tomorrow and catch them on a wacky worm. They're still doing it. Getting those little bitty back bays, like back in the corner here, and some of that stuff, and just take a look at that, and then you can get that wacky and you skip it right up in there. And I use on that, now again, I should retract. This is monoline. I use it for this, this Ned rig, but on the wacky worm I use braided line. And I like it because I throw it behind cables. I'm not always accurate, and I go over the top of those cables from time to time. But if he hits it, you can get him out of there. Just as soon as you hit him, he takes off, just grab a hold of it, and just bring him right on out. He'll come right over the top. If you mess with him a little bit, he's not going to like that. I use basically it's 8-pound size diameter. I think it's 20-pound test line that I use. That's plenty for these, okay? You're not going to lose any fish like that. We don't have, I mean, they'll stay on it really good. But I use this here as just an 8-pound test line that I use, and I don't use fluorocarbon on the spinning reel, and the reason I don't is that I feel that it kinks on you real bad, and it retains memory super bad. If they came out with a fluorocarbon that doesn't hold memory, it'd be a wonderful thing. But until they get that figured out, they're not going to do that. So, one of the other things I always gripe at people, talk to them about, is I don't like them to put their lures right there. That's terrible. And the reason is these things are so sharp nowadays. You'll get yourself a little cut in there, and then your rod's junk. You gotta take it to Fitz's and get them to put you a whole new thing on there. It costs you about $15. So I always don't do that. I keep them right on here. And this one, I don't understand why they did this one the way they did. Still not figured it out, but it's right behind here, okay? And sometimes grabbing hold of that's not the best idea. I just haven't figured that out. The other thing that I always do is I make them wrap the rod 3 times, once, twice, and 3 times, and then it sticks there, so it's not going to be, when you pull it out of your rod box, it's not going to have 15 other lures hanging with it. So as soon as I just do it, I do it automatically. As soon as I get it, spin it, spin it, spin it, and right back in there it goes. But I've been using this Ned rig and also the Wacky Worm almost totally lately. And my next door neighbor, he finally figured me out. When I come in, if I've got 10 rods out on the deck of my boat, fishing's been really tough because I'm trying everything I can get out there. But if I come in, I got 1 or 2, he knows it's been a good day. So then he goes, hey, take me fishing. I'm tired. The other thing that I've been catching some fish on is a crankbait. This is what do they call it?
Rock crawler.
Rock crawler. See, I just did that. It's a rock crawler. This is a coffee color that I paint. It's got a little bit of yellow on the bottom with a little pink, and the rest of it's just dark coffee. This is about a 5-layer paint job to get that, and it really is a good bait. I got a lot of reds. I like a red bait. I use those quite a bit, but this one right here seems to be working pretty good. Something that they don't always see a lot of, and I basically paint stuff that you don't see every day. Some of it's really wild, as Alfred says, but this is it's a rock crawler imitation. It's not real, but it is a rock crawler, and it's just right there, different colors and different things. But I love to paint, so I do that a lot. That's my wintertime project. My wife told me if I keep painting, it's not going to be good around the house. So I decided I was going to stop for a while. But I use a crankbait. I've used it up until, they're just really getting started on a crankbait, I think. But I think that I've used it, oh gosh, Code, when did I see up there? It was on spring break, wasn't it, up in, and I was using a crankbait then. I was catching really good. And it was in spring break for him, and that was probably March. I was up in the, that's Indian Creek, and they was hitting us really good. They come off a brush. I had a guy up there one day, and I said, you throw across that, bring it through it. When it hits that brush, you're going to catch a fish. The guy looked at me like, yeah. Threw in there, ran down, hit that bush. Bam, he got one. He goes, how'd you know that? I said, you can do it again, too, if you try. It was loaded up in that brush, and they'd come out and just attack it. So that was a good thing. Does it happen that way all the time? Yeah, it does. No, it doesn't. It's a tough gig, but this particular crankbait's a good one. I have monster crankbaits. I have crankbaits that are, oh, I know, oh good, I spilled it all out a while ago. Here's a great big one right here. This is a great big. It's a Spro bait. It gets down there about 15 to 18 feet. Now guys tell you that they go 22 feet. No. I think if you threw from here to the baseball thing over there, you might get 22 feet. You might get it on if you had 6-pound test and you could throw it that far, it might go. But if you're using any kind of line at all, they might go 20 feet in the max, but I don't think any farther than that. Just truthfully, that's just me. But that is a good bait. It works really good. I fish those a little bit later, and I'm going to get back into that in just a second. The other thing that I did bring along with me is the big old jig. Big old jigs. I like a long rod when I'm fishing a jig. And the reason I like that, if you threw this rod, you know, way out there, okay, and it gets to the bottom, when you pump this, okay, you're not going to pump it hard, but you can still feel that bait coming up off of there. And if you got to set the hook, you can set the hook with a great big one like this. When you got little bitty rods, it just doesn't, you can't do it. You get line stretch. I mean, from here to out here to the side of that, I mean, you could take this, well, look here, just that. I stretch it probably a ½ inch in that distance right there. So when it's way out there, it's gonna stretch you probably a foot, okay? And then you can't get him hooked in the jaw, you can't do what you really want to. Jig's a great bait on this lake. Drum love them. And there's times when drum can keep you so busy taking them off, you think I'm gonna take that thing and lay it down because I don't wanna catch another one of those. Drum love these things. I don't always know why, but they love them crawdaddies, I guess, but that's a good one. I also fish a great big long rod. I didn't bring one with me tonight. I fish a long rod for fishing crankbaits, these big ones. And this is probably, this might be 17-pound test, okay? This smaller rod, 8 pound. This one here go 10 to 12-pound test. And on this one here, probably 17. We don't have a lot of structure in the water of stuff you're going to get hung up on. I mean, in some brush piles there is, but that 17 to get you out of there, it can get them out for you. And I just like it because it sinks faster and it works better. I will use, a lot of times on these, I will do fluorocarbon on these because I want everything to go down fast and get down there. So, anybody got any questions on anything so far? Gotta have one.
Yeah. I know.
John does. Thanks, John.
You talked about how you put the Ned rig on there. I think you had a little trick for how you put the drop shot on there to wrap it up and keep it from.
Yeah, absolutely. On this particular rod, a drop shot is a real good one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is my weight, the drop shot weight. What I would do is above this, I didn't bring one, I should have, but above this about 18 inches, right about there, what I do is I tie a Palomar knot, okay, and I stick it through the back side of the hook first. 9 times out of 10, if you stick it on the back side, when it hangs out, it's going to come out and go up like this. It's going to be the right way. If it doesn't, you just tie another knot and snap it, and a lot of times it'll be right there. On this here, on this being the sinker, when I first got it, I could never figure out what I could do with this thing. I just could never figure out, because I'd have a line that was hanging like this, just stick in your rod box and all that. So what I did on this is made to hold lures. What I do is I stick my weight right there. Okay, and I stick my weight right there, I tighten it up, I give it the old official deal, and it will stay there really good. Again, I struggled with that for the longest time. I wrapped it around. I did any kind of thing I could think of until I came up with that, and it works perfect for me. So that's a really good thing for a drop shot. In fact, it's a lot better to have a drop shot sinker than this hook down there to grab a hold of that. But that is one of the things that I just came up with it one day. Everybody probably does it now. But I was sitting in the boat thinking, man, what am I going to do? Because I could get them out of there and I'd have like 3 rods stuck together or something like that, and it just takes me a while to get them undone for people. So I just started doing that, and it works out really good. So that is, I use this all the time. Luce has got this down here. I never could figure out how come it's not up here. It would be so nice. Okay, but they just put it there. Balancing of a rod is very important too. You want to have them so they just kind of, this one here is just a little bit, that's about right, okay, because everything's just balanced out. It won't stress you out. And one of the things that I talk a lot of guys, I mean, Randy, right? Yeah. Randy and I fished last year one time, and one of the things that I showed him was the way I like to cast. And if I take you out on a fishing trip, I'm not criticizing you in any shape or form, but if I think you can do something just a little bit better and a little more accurately, I will mention it to you because I want to see you catch fish. It's one of the things that guys don't do, bad situation right here, is when, we'll just hold it down here, is when they cast, they get themselves all involved in trying to cast too far. This rod here just barely, and it goes really good. What you want to do is always bring it, now imagine this, I'm real sharp, you're going over my shoulder, okay, and it would be right here. Now I would keep my elbow against my body, okay, this here is going to be my arm that I actually pull this with. I don't do it with this one just stays right here. And I'll rotate it like this, not hit the ceiling, and it's not going to be good because of that, just like that. Now I tell everybody there's 3 reasons that I have you do it that way. Number 1 is you'll cast farther and more accurately. Number 2 well, it's going to be a lot more accurate. We'll just say that. Number one was farther, second one's that. And the third thing is 50% chance less you throw my rod in the lake because you got two hands on it, okay?
And that's been working lately because you haven't asked for my camera.
I know. John was my go-to guy with cameras. I'd call him all the time. Hey, I lost another one. Go over and pick his camera up, and I'd go find it. And it's amazing, guys, when you lose a rod in the lake, they don't lay like this. No. They lay like this. Almost every one I've ever found is just like that. And they are so hard to catch. And I always make sure that on the end of the tie it to the reel. I read an article one time, you don't need to do that. Don't need to do that at all. So I did a couple of them like that. About the first day, got threw one in. When I went down there, I got it. I got a hold of the line. And what I use to catch fishing rods out of the water is I got an old stringer, so metal stringer. I open them all up, and it's on a big cord, like I use a float, a thing for float. Throw it right out there and drag it along, and you can pick that right up. So you can pick it up. I use that all the time. It works good, and it's inexpensive, and the wires on it are not so tough. You just manhandle it through about anything. It'll come off. So that's what I use. And if you lose it, you can always find one of those someplace for what, a couple bucks, and you're good to go. That's been my biggest thing on losing lures. Like I said, they'll always end up being right like that. And it's amazing. I don't go for anybody that sidearms casts. The only time I sidearm cast is when you're skipping and you got to bring it around like that. And I don't go way back here. I'll just leave it about a line and just give it that, and it shoots right up under there. So some guys get the baseball swing. Well, when you got 3 people in a boat, not a good idea. I just keep it like that and just give it that, and it just goes right in. But that takes a little more time and that, but it will work. I don't do the sidearm cast in a boat because somebody can get hurt. I had a friend of mine that called me one day and he goes, "You won't believe what happened today." He had a doctor and his wife out. She was using a spook, and when I tell people in the boat, I always say throw this side. If we're fishing, I will tell you, you're going to fish out of this side. If I see somebody fishing the other direction, unless I mention it, then hey, wait, we're not doing that, okay? Because somebody can get really hurt. She raised back and did a sidearm cast, and it didn't come off the reel right. Slapped the guy right in his face, and it just buried him. So that was not a good situation, so you got to be really careful. Luckily, everybody should wear glasses when they fish, and you're going to help yourself out a lot there too. I'm probably one of the most guilty is in low light conditions. I don't wear them as much as I should, but it's just, I'm old school. I'm old. So basically that's that on that. But be very careful, sidearm cast. There's a couple different things that you expect from a guide. Number one, I'll be real truthful. I can't go out and catch every big bass in the lake. Isn't that amazing, Alfred? Do you go out and catch up great big ones every time? No, it doesn't happen, okay? One of the things always remember, you're not only there to catch fish, we want you to catch fish, more than you would ever know. But what we want you to know is we want you to learn an experience that you can use in a different time. I learn something from some people every time I go out. Sometimes it's one of those that maybe I can see something that they're doing that I can use that'll help me out. And then there's other times I learned it. There's some people I don't want to take again. I learned that one really good. But I have wonderful people that do great things, and it's very, very fun. But one of the biggest things is let them ask questions. Let anybody, anybody on there wants to send me an email, Big Ed, I want to know about this, I'll get back with you and help you out. Because that's the name of the game. We want to help. Do I like guys that call me and pump me for information? Nah. I get guys all the time. Hello, yeah, I'm coming to the lake this week. I was wondering, do you have any openings? Yeah, I do. Then they'll go, how's fishing right now? Well, it's okay. What are they biting on? Well, they're biting on, well, whereabouts are you fishing? All they want to know is information. Okay, just book a trip and let's go fishing. So that's the way you just got to handle that. But guys, I have had a wonderful time talking to you guys. I don't know how much time we got left. What else? You got any questions?
Any questions?
I
Come
got
on,
one, Ed.
John, give me a question.
That Spro imitator, does that have as good an action as the Rio rock crawler? Do you notice? Have you noticed?
I
the
think
difference?
it's just as good.
It's
They
good.
dive very good, they track very good, everything about them is good. Now, do you have a time when once in a while it might deviate?
Oh,
You
yeah.
get that with a real one too. But they will run straight, and they're probably one of the best that I got. And I hate wiggle warts, guys. Wiggle warts and me are yeet. But I bought wiggle warts this year, and they are running very, very good too. Once in a while I get one that sprays out. But other than that, I mean, they're right there. I mean, they will handle it really good. I don't charge $1 million for my fishing lures. Basically, I'm just trying to get my money back so I can paint more. I love to paint. So that's what I do. Anybody questions? Somebody's got to have one.
When's drop shot fish to start? I know we went like the end of June, got the hell out of them. I was
Okay,
considering
that
to
is
start early.
basically, that's getting ready to start right now. I know that I could catch some drop shot fish today. I just pretty sure I could, the way I seen them bunched up on a fishing locator. And like I said, I like to see them where they're wavy down there, they're starting to move a little bit. And I think that drop shot fishing will start about then. So, that, that's a pretty good, pretty good deal, So, I always like to hear you. Okay, there you go. But that was the first question. There you go. So, basically,
Hey, where's mine? That's
Nah,
a
you're-
good question.
I may hear something from you from time to time. But anytime you need them done, I will. I do paint lures. I work on that too.
How
So,
can we get a hold of you?
My telephone number is 573-692-6710. That's Big Ed's Guide Service. I'm available most of the time. Once in a while, if I look and I don't recognize the number, I might put it off, but I'll call you as soon as I get back in from a guide. My website is Big Ed's. It's Ed at BASSANDBASKETS.com. Ed at bassandbaskets.com. My wife and I own a bed and breakfast here at the lake, and that's where I work out of myself. But I have a 21-foot Phoenix bass boat. It's got all the goodies on it. I love to go fishing, and I'm ready anytime anybody needs anything. So somebody's got to have a
And
question.
on your-
John, come on.
And on your paint jobs, you do some that you buy, but you also paint some the guys will bring in.
Yeah, John from time to time, he gets a lot of baits being a writer. He gets a lot of fun stuff. And he'll bring them over, and he'll want a certain color painted.
Yeah, sometimes the color isn't right for our lake.
Yeah, something is just totally different than, he gets stuff that are like wild colors, and we'll take them and I'll paint him a color that he likes, and I get them really pretty close. There's some things I can't paint a silver. Just, silver is something that's, you just can't do. There's no color in the spectrum that will allow you to paint chrome. I'm sure there is, but I don't have it. But
You haven't
it
tried
just doesn't
the
work.
foil.
No, I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that. I got some baits that got a little foil finish them, and what I do is I spray the tops, spray the bottoms, and leave them that. I got some jerk bait that's got it. I've got a little bit of everything on that. So that's about it.
How do you handle the weekends if somebody wants to book a trip for the busy weekend?
I do it.
You know, how-
I really do. On Memorial Weekend, I had guide trips every day this weekend, and I went out I was a little daring, but what I figure, on the Friday night, I go before they get there, a lot of them. I go out at 7 to 11. I only do 4-hour trips.
Okay.
I don't like doing anything more than 4. 4 is it, and that's the only time that I will have you back at your dock really pretty close to the end time, because it gets bad out there. And my cove is the world's worst. Okay, it's terrible. And I know you come in there.
Yeah.
It gets rock and roll. We have this thing on the lake, guys. Everybody, if you want to sign a petition, I hate them myself. It's these blasted wave boats.
Wake boat.
Oh my God. And they get so, I came in the other day, I slowed down, and I had a wave come over the top of my boat and completely soaked my boat. So I turned around. and I followed him till he dropped his skier. And him and I had a word of discussion out on the lake. Yes, we did. And he ended up telling me, whoever you are, if I don't care. He told me that he pays more taxes. I do not own this lake. He pays more taxes. I said, I don't care. It's common courtesy, man. Take that big booger out there in the middle of the lake and give her whatever you want to give her.
You got plenty of wakes out there.
Oh my
You don't need a
God.
wake boat.
But anyway, I shouldn't say this because all boats are good,
Yeah.
but that's one I cannot stand. There you go. So that's my stand on that one, guys. And after you hit them babies, and my thing is the waves stay a long time after their history. You might be running a bass boat in and it just skip you and give you a doom right like that. So I just don't like them. Sorry to say it, guys. And I know you guys with those wave boats don't like us bass boat guys,
No.
Anyway, so.
but we don't care. That's my stand.
So anyway,
Okay, now that I said that one, huh?
there's some topwater action starting. What are some of your favorite topwater baits for this lake?
Well, the Whopper Ploppers, you know, it's just an unbelievable bait. I mean, right now, if I go out there and the water looks like that, it's very slick. Okay, I don't want something that makes a tremendous amount of noise. Okay, I like something that gives just a little finesse, and that's why I use one of these. Oh, there's one right there. It's kind of easy. It's just a little stick bait. Okay, and what it does is you throw it in. Can you get it, Ben?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. When it just hits, it just lays there. I wait for this is old school. I mean, this is stuff that was when I was a young kid, they did this.
Bagley's Bangalore.
Yeah, Bangle lures. You had, well, the Hellcat was a great bait. Nobody can find them. If you can, they're 25 to 30 bucks a pop. But basically, it just lays there on top, doesn't have any action at all until you just give that bait just a little bit of, like that, and it does this. And it, you know, you can keep and continue to case to see, it gets all over the place. It really does. This is a tremendous one. I got these and at first I wasn't really sure, but they are a fantastic bait. So that one, it just lays on top. I don't like commotion whenever there's that. Now if there's a little ripple on the water, can't beat those there spook. I mean, a Zara spook, you get them out of there. And I like to buy chrome ones if I buy them, and when they get beat up from hitting the shore or whatever they're going to hit, it starts losing that color and there's bone color underneath it. The more that you knock the bait off of that, the better it looks, because it looks like a shad that's got some scales knocked off of it. He's not doing so good. Oh yeah, I got the ick. But that one works really good. Whopper Plopper again, 10. You know, I mean, you can't beat that. And I don't fish it, throw it out there. I don't. When I reel it in, I pop it about all the time, just like that. And it goes through the water like this. They'll dial in on that one a lot better. You could throw it out there and reel it in like this. I just like to have a little pop going to make it spraying out.
What size do you like?
I like the small one. I do like the small one.
I got a new one out now.
Do they really?
It's a 90 or something like that. It's big down Table Rock.
Okay.
I just bought one not too long ago.
Yeah, I'll check that before I go up north. But
Yeah.
I like, I just like the small one. Them great big ones, honestly, I've never had any. I mean, I've just never had any real good luck on them. So
Big
I
fish,
like
but
to
not
keep
many
it.
bites.
Is it the Whopper
Big
Plopper
fish,
you're
but not
talking
many
about?
bites.
The one, I think it's 130, 110,
Yeah.
90, and then they have a 75 too.
Yeah.
Yep.
90 and 75.
Well, they keep buying them, so you know why they do that, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
To keep you guys to buy their lure.
Yeah, there'll be another new one probably here soon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Another
yeah.
size, the
Oh yeah.
50.
Yeah, they'll have, now I fish them this big in Canada. Okay, they're great big ones, and we fish some muskies on them, and they really do eat the muskies.
Yeah,
They'll love that thing. So, yeah, it's just something I do use.
that's a fun bait.
Yes, it is. It's a great fishing bait, and they did call them up round docks. You can throw it past the dock, bring it right around the corner. Some of these big, I shouldn't tell this one. It's condo docks. They like big condo docks, and I call it my back to school pattern. About the time kids go back to school, that's when I can start catching those. So I like to catch those like that. So.
How about your affinity for yellow topwater lures?
I'm a junk guy on that. Well, yeah, I mean, this is yellow. I'm a yellow kind of guy. I don't know what it is. It's something that I have had for 25 to 30 years. I've had good luck with yellow baits, and you can't find a yellow bait anywhere. Nobody really handles them that much, and I just like that little topwater yellow bait because it's something and the good thing about it, I can see it. I can see it in the water, and so if a fish comes up and grabs it, well, I got him because I can see where it's at all the time. I lose different things in the water because you can't really see them that good, but I can see that yellow one, and when it goes sideways, I know I've got one on it. Yeah, so that's one of my favorites. I got a lot of yellow ones I keep stuffed in one of my spots that
Clear or dirty water?
I use it on all of it. I really do. Anytime I got a spot where I can use it, then I would use that. But I don't necessarily think colors mean as much as presentation. If you get the bait where they want to eat it, close to them, you got a better chance of catching them. I have seen in the Ozarks down in south of Little Rock, there's a couple lakes down there that we used to fish all the time. And you could throw a spook out in the center and you could see them run 20 feet to come and get that bait. So yes, there is sometimes that it does work better, but that's clear water too. So that's it.
Speaking about the crankbait, earlier you catching some on square, but you still catching some that way or not?
I am still catching a few on a square bill. I caught most of those fish on that the last of February, and I caught probably through most of March, and then a little bit in April. But I still catch them. I mean, square bill's always good.
Yeah.
As long as you get it in front of them, they're going to eat it. You know, a lot of guys fish them year round. It's just that I get tired of fishing the same thing. It's just like a jerk bait in the wintertime. You go out there right now and catch fish on jerk bait.
Sure.
You can. But it just, that stand there and, that's not for me right now. I like to have a little different thing to use from time to time.
Have you caught any walleye on that crankbait?
I have not caught a walleye this year. I caught it last year. I had very good luck. I caught a 9-pounder one day, and I caught several of them that were up in there. Oh, Cody, I think, was with me one day. We caught a walleye, and I just have not. This year, I've not had one at all. No, none of my people have. So it normally, like I said,
June's usually when they.
yeah, oh yeah,
They're
they'll
getting
get
points.
going here in a little bit, but
But do you-
I'll be
do you
catching lots of
feel-
walleye in a week.
Do you feel like everything's like 2 weeks behind? A lot of guys.
Yes,
that fish
absolutely,
it's
without a doubt. I think we're 2 weeks behind, and for some reason, well, the water temperature right now is just 71, 72, up to 73, and normally this time we're in the high 70s. I mean, we're definitely off on temperature, and which is good. I mean, it's allowing the fish to last a little bit longer, but I really worry again. I think there's been a kill, so, and I don't know what it is or what the problem is. So that's about it.
How about some guys like fish? Like I was fishing with Jim Dill last week. He liked to throw a buzzbait in the spring. Do you like to throw a buzzbait in the spring as much as?
I'm not a buzzbait. I fish a buzzbait a little bit. Jim's got wonderful buzzbaits. He really does. There's no doubt about it. You can't beat a 3/4 ounce buzzbait on a just black with a little green in it. You can't beat that with silver blades or gold blades. It's tremendous. It's a great bait. I just don't really fish them that much. I mean, I like fishing a spinnerbait. A spinnerbait's good, but it kind of tails out already.
Didn't you think it wasn't a very great spinnerbait?
Wasn't, and I thought it was going to be the best year that we've ever had.
The
because
watercolor looked good for
it
it.
was watercolor was unbelievable, but they just never did really get
Not
on.
really good, no.
No,
I was
normally you
I thought
can
it was
just,
gonna be great, but it really
yeah,
wasn't.
absolutely. It just thought it was
Yeah.
going to be
Well, I'm
dynamite.
not the only
It had
one.
to be perfect conditions for
It did. You had to have a
And
lot with spinnerbait to catch them. You got to have wind. If you got wind, you can catch bait, spinnerbait. But if you don't have any wind, nah.
Nasty old day.
Yeah, nasty old grubby day. When I'm at the house and see you go by my house,
When you got
hope
your
you're having
suit on.
fun, dude. Are you catching any?
Usually
No.
those days I might have caught one or
Yeah,
two though.
yeah,
because
I'll be
those
up there
nasty old
going,
days.
that's why I'm at the house. Yeah, I just stop by if you want a cup of coffee, I'm here. Yeah, but it's just a wonderful lake. It's always been my favorite lake, and that's why I live here. And just like I said, I love to take people fishing. I love to give them, oh, here's one. This week, 2 days ago, I had a guide trip out. Guy was 50 years old, had never ever fished in his life.
Wow.
He didn't know what a fishing pole was, how to hold on to it, how to do anything. And I took him out, and I think he, probably about half an hour, he caught his first fish, all by himself. I did a couple one of those casts. Here, hold on to this for a second, will you? I got it. Let me see your rod. I think something wrong with it. Oh my God, you got one. Yeah, I did that. Yeah. But this guy was 50. I did that. I do it to women all the time. They're fun. But I taught him how to cast a spinning rod. He really couldn't do a bait caster. I do teach people every time to do a bait caster, but he caught that first one. And honest to God, the people in Eldon had to hear him scream.
Wow.
He was so excited. And I got one, and he was just over the top. Greatest thing in the world. And in fact, his girlfriend got a video of it. As soon as she gets it put back together, I'm put it on my site. And it is just
Went to watch that.
wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful. But to see a guy that he wanted, he got tears in his eyes, the whole 9 yards. I mean, this guy was, his dad was in an accident many years ago, confined to a wheelchair, and he was never able to take him and show him how to do fish. But he learned the other day, and it was wonderful. His girlfriend bought him the trip, so it was fun. It was fun. So that's what makes my day. I mean, if I can go out and get somebody out, yeah, it makes my year. I mean, it makes the whole deal. So that's about it. Anybody else? I don't know where we're on time. I'm sure.
No, we're great.
We're good. That's a
We're
great
great.
job, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever you want.
Everybody, thank you very much. Thanks.